This time we got something very unique for you. This is the Icom IC-781. This radio entered the market around 1979-1980, and at the time it cost $6,000, which made it then the most expensive ham radio you could buy. Top of the line, and $6,000 in 1980, I looked it up, that's worth $24,000 in 2019. So that probably still makes it the most expensive radio, ham radio ever. Let's turn it on. Now, as you see, it takes a while for the display to come up. The reason for that is this is a CRT tube, cathode ray tube. So the display is like your old television set or these old computer monitors, and that was unique in 1980. It basically has a computer inside that handles all that. Nowadays old radios have that, most radios have that with LCDs, but in 1980 this was truly unique. And it still is quite something. A radio with a CRT tube. Not too many around. Now we have it at the 20 meter band. The radio works very well. It actually was tested in the QST magazine for 102 dB dynamic range, which was absolutely top of the market in those days. Most radios had like 80 dB dynamic range in those days, and even today 102 dB dynamic range is very impressive. The radio had all the filters already installed. You didn't have to buy additional filters. And this one also has the speech processor installed. I think that was the only option for it.
14.2820 megahertz.
Speech processor, that was also unheard of in 1980. Let's see what we have here. We got power. We got an integrated antenna tuner. That was also pretty unique. We got the transmit receive parallel to the PTT for the microphone. Microphone had up down buttons. We got keyer, we got delay for the keyer, we got drive power. Noise blanker is adjustable. Turn it on and off here. We have blanker width, noise blanker wide and narrow. We have AGC variable for the receiver. We got AF gain, we got RF gain. We got low and high, treble and bass. So we have squelch that only works for FM. Well, actually, this is the, sorry, what is this? Yeah, I guess it also works on sideband. I didn't know that. CW pitch for Morse mode, Morse keying. Microphone gain and RF power. Radio is 150 watts, so that was pretty high. We got monitor gain, if you want to listen to yourself. We got Fox and the gain for the Fox, anti-Fox. We got scan speed, the radio is capable of frequency scanning. We got delay. We got resume. This is frequency calibration. It's actually brought out to the front. Microphone tone, you can adjust the microphone tone. Dimmer for the S meter, not for the display, that you can set somewhere else, that you can set here. That is for the display. And then we have a preamp. I don't have that on 20 meters, my noise level is high enough as it is. Attenuator 10 dB, attenuator 20 dB or 30 if you leave them both on. A marker. Frequency marker, monitor if you want to listen to yourself, tone, and then of course we got the we got the display. Well, first we got the modes.
LSB, USB, CW, RTTY, AM, FM, USB.
Then we got the, this is where the computer part comes in. This is the menu. I can set all kind of things. You can set the clock, 12:25 local, 16:25 GMT. I can set scanner. Well, let's get a little bit closer. I can set the scanner. I can set memories, spectral scope. I can set parameters there. Clock and timer we already discussed. Here's the second menu. Terminal monitor, CIV condition, IF filter present, yes or no, band key preset. You would have to crack the manual to go into the detail for that. Here's the filter. I can set the filter as narrow wide for different modes. The radio really has a ton of features. And of course there is the spectrum that was unique in those days. Let's go back to that.
LSB, USB.
If I knew how to get out of that. Well, I guess I have to read the manual myself. But it's basically a built-in computer that's in here, microcomputer, which again for 1980 was pretty unique. Let's take you to the other ones. Here's another funny thing I just found out. Look at this. It looks like the thing is capable of functioning as a monitor. Or maybe it has built-in RTTY, not 100% sure. Would have to read the... So you can use it as a... you can use it as a computer monitor. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Pretty neat. Well, let's press a few more. Memo, I can set all my memories. Scope, this is where we are back to our spectrum analyzer. Now the spectrum analyzer was pretty unique as well in those days. I think this was the first radio that actually had that. As you see, it's not as fancy as today's radios, but again in 1980 that was pretty amazing. Now as you might see, this particular radio, the CRT works very nice. Mostly when you see these radios offered in the used market, they are burned in because people leave it on all the time, and eventually that will give you a burn-in pattern on the CRT. But this thing seems to be hardly ever used. It does not have any burn-in effects on the spectrum scope or anything. Anyway, let's go look at the other things. We got the ability to enter frequencies. Right now I'm at VFO A, this is VFO B. I can exchange that. This is B, A. I can listen on two frequencies at the same time. Dual watch. This was actually the first radio that had that feature. Two receivers in one. I'm not sure if you can listen on different bands. I would have to look at the manual, but this radio was the first one that had the capability to listen on two different frequencies. We'll try to set that up later for you. So that's the dual watch VFO memory. You can switch between memories and VFO. Here we have our memory write, memory clear, VFO to memory. You can do up down here. This is the clarifier. Don't know if you can see it, but the buttons for that are down here. This is the balance. You can listen to channel A or B, receiver A or B. Radios today still have that feature. And you can set that for both receivers independently. Here we have our twin passband tuning. The radio basically has variable band pass setting, but you can also, if I for instance go to CW, I can set different filters. This is the narrow filter. Very narrow filter. Now I'm getting wider. Now I'm normal width. I can do the same for RTTY. Can set different filter widths for RTTY. And of course USB and LSB, same thing. So all that is possible. Can go to narrow, go to wide. We have an APF. I think that only works in CW. Let's try that.
CW.
Notch and audio passband filter. I don't think that works in sideband. The notch obviously does, but the APF does not work in single sideband. Only in CW, where you need it, obviously. Now, as I said, radio has a ton of features. I'm not going to go through all the menu items here, but there is a lot. But I just think it's the coolest radio. I forgot to mention this here. I can set the meter function for different functions. Power output, ALC, collector current for the amplifier, voltage, compressor, and SWR. This only obviously comes on when you transmit. When you receive, it just works as an S meter. So that's basically what it can do. Let's see how the transmitter sounds and how the output power looks. Okay, connected it to the watt meter. We're still on 20 meters. By the way, the tuning knob is just perfect. It has great flywheel action. This might be one of the best tuning knobs I've ever experienced. This is just unbelievable. Anyway, let's go to 14.3. We'll switch to the dummy load. Yeah, you can, by the way, also see the difference between the actual received noise and the receiver noise. I mean the internal noise. Listen. This is the noise with the antenna connected, so that's received noise. And this is the noise of the radio itself. It's just whisper quiet. By the way, that also shows you why I don't need a preamp, because if I turn that on, it gets even worse with the noise. So that's not needed at all where I live, but if you live in a very quiet, noise-free environment, this might be the way to go for you. Anyway, see what we get here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the monitor receiver. And this is the power level. You see the radio is specified for 150 watts, and it really does that. And it's dead on frequency. This Yaesu does have the high stability option installed, and this radio obviously is dead on frequency by itself. I think it has an overniced master oscillator. That actually was also unique in 1980. This, I think, is one of the very first ham radios that derives all internal frequencies from a single master oscillator, and it does this with the help of a couple of direct digital synthesizers. That also was completely unique. I think this was the very first radio with a direct digital synthesizer, which makes it possible to have like a VFO kind of experience in terms of tuning without any artifacts or weird jump effects. Before this, it was all PLL synthesizers, and they are notorious for lots of phase noise and jumpy behavior when you tune. Now, direct digital synthesizers did exist in 1980 or before 1980, but they were mostly beholden to the military transceivers. It was not affordable yet for ham radios, and Icom was the first one that actually implemented that in a ham radio, and that's one of the reasons why this radio was so incredibly expensive. Nowadays everything is a direct digital synthesizer. You know, they have these VLSI chips that do all this. For this radio has several direct digital synthesizers, but that's because it's of much later date. In 1980 this was totally unique. So this is just an incredibly nice collector's item. Like I said, this particular one is like a mint condition. I don't think you'll ever find a nicer one. The CRT is still perfect. The front looks perfect, it's free of scratches. The case is nice. This radio is literally like almost unused. Now I looked in the manual. It is possible to use this radio on Mars and cap frequencies, or outside the ham bands, for transmit. You have to cut a resistor. I did not want to do that. This radio does not have that enabled. It is still completely factory original. No so-called quote-unquote improvements. These mods always destroy a radio, and this one is completely factory original, and I did not want to cut that resistor. But if you really have to, it is just a simple resistor, and then it will transmit everywhere from 1.8 to 30 megahertz. Not too much going on today. Let's try a different band. Look at the noise I have here. And that's without the preamp. Might as well add some attenuation. But 40 meters during the day, that is not going to be very successful. I'm just amazed how bad and how poor propagation is lately. We're at the absolute minimum of the solar cycle, so I guess we shouldn't expect too much. You can do fast tuning, by the way. Now you go a little bit faster. And since everybody is in a 1 kilohertz spacing nowadays with those synthesizer radios, you almost could tune like this around too many people with a VFO style radio. Let's see what we get on the high bands, if we still get our 150 watts there. Okay, we're at the 10 meter band now. You see, even here I don't need the preamp. That's my noise level. We'll go to the dummy load. Now we're at the dummy load, and we'll go to frequency modulation, and we'll put some squelch in here. This is the receiver. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. And let's transmit. Let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's our power level. It's 145, almost 150. So in FM it also works, and Squelch works too. Let's go back to the antenna and to...
USB.
I don't think there's much. Those are not birdies. That is my local area network, which radiates like a mother. Thanks, FCC, for totally negating on your job. Well, obviously it's nothing to hear during the day. But that's it, 10 meters. Let's go back to 14, at least there's something there.
Maybe I'll catch you then, but I'm starting to get a lot of QSB, and you're down to a 5.3 at this end, so I better say 73.
Fast AGC.
And thanks again.
Slow AGC.
So, November 4 WQV, this is November 5 SQS 73s, and I'll be clear on your final. Thanks again, Eric.
It's just a boatload of fun tuning this dial. Feels very good.
Since about 8 o'clock, I guess, something like that.
I think the radio does have an output at the back for connecting it to an external composite video monitor. You would need one of those old black and white monitors with composite video input. I'd also work on an older TV set. Maybe we should give that a try. Yeah, I looked it up in the manual. It is actually possible to connect an external monitor. The problem is they did not use a cinch connector. They used one of these weird DIN connectors, and I might not have that. So I have to make my own cable. Well, I'm gonna look for that quickly. If I can find it, we'll connect it to a monitor. If not, we'll forget about it. Okay, I rigged up a cable, video cable, and connected it to this little TV. It's actually not a monitor, it's a little TV. And let's see if it works. Man, that is cooler than a cucumber. This is so cool, it's pissing ice cubes. That is just unbelievable. That works great.
The green orders. Anyway, have to contact you guys. The best to you and say hi to everyone there from Angel in Puerto Rico. W3G8.
It basically copies what's on the CRT.
The name is Angel, Alpha, November,
and I now have it here on my LCD monitor. Spectrum analyzer works much nicer too. Actually, you can see it better.
And I think we had a picture there from 98 until his
This is just the coolest thing. It is one cool radio. Pretty good picture too, you know. You would think it's all fuzzy with composite video. This thing is just razor sharp. I suddenly now also noticed this little arrow that shows you whether you're tuning down or up. I hadn't noticed that before. This is one nice radio. If there only were a little bit better propagation.
Always a good antenna. That one is always a very good performing antenna, that's for sure, Mike. Well, thank you very much for the viewer show. 73 on DX and enjoy the weekend, Mike. NN3 Papa, EA3, AKP. Bye-bye. Now go ahead, DX again. DX, Echo Alpha 3, Alpha Kilo Papa. Whiskey Mike, one on, sir.
Well, that was basically it, folks. The Icom IC-781, a absolute classic vintage radio, the most expensive radio you could buy in the 80s. $6,000, 1980 equals $24,000 in 2019. But you really got something nice for that money, because this thing is still an incredibly nice radio. By the way, did I tell you that this is not plastic? This is die-cast aluminum, metal. They don't do that anymore in today's radios. This thing is built like a tank. Has the AC power supply built in case you didn't already know that. Just plug it in, it's ready to go. Dual receiver, CRT, spectrum scope, a whole bunch of filters installed standard. You can't get better than that. Thank you for watching this video. Well, I thought if there is no propagation, we might as well do some AM band listening broadcast.
On the families affected by pediatric cancer.
Got 20 dB attenuation turned in.
Continues. The families. Lives touched by the foundation continue to rise each time.
Right, no.
But if you...
To the booth and to the prime.
No hemos visto expresor super pesimismo. The cancer fiber face is from
Party leader who's, or is it Republicans and the Federalist Society?
taking our resources as a community.
And I'm just saying behavioral problems.
That's a strong one.
Worse than we've actually made them out to be.
Celebrarse con el
Tuve la oportunidad de promocionar su más reciente
That's
producción discográfica
Cuba.
de abajo para arriba.
Cuba.
Fonograma que...
Thank you for joining me for. Farm Bureau Insurance. Records.
Trace
destroyed him. He wanted...
In Israel, did you talk to people about Donald Trump? About the president?
I did. Por la fuerza mediante la cual condenaron al expresidente.
Estoy cansado de Walmart, que esto dura. Estados Unidos en Washington como parte de los preparativos.
Entiéndelo, por favor.
Explains what makes Alabama's two legendary...
Do you know how you can recognize Cuban broadcast? They transmit the time signal. Listen to it. Did you hear that? I have no idea why they do that in broadcast, but well, that's it. Let's see how low it goes. That's lightning. We are in Florida. Okay, goes to 100 kilohertz down.
USB.
That is FEC. That is a beacon for the, probably from some airport. Another one. FM, did it? You can look it up on the internet which one that is. Does a pretty decent job as a VLF receiver. And this is the lowest broadcast station. Anyway, just wanted to show you that. Does a decent job as a broadcast receiver as well.
And continually pushes us to be the best we can be.
Well,
maybe that's why
thank you
we
for
receive
watching.
top marks in every